What's up, you all? We're here back live again today. Um, I was supposed to go live on Wednesday, but I forgot what happened. I think I did something else. Um, Let me just go live on YouTube, on Instagram, real quick. But yeah, welcome back today, y'all. We're gonna be talking about family, dating, and relationships. Let me get my thing up. Yeah, so today we're gonna talk about family, dating and relationships. And I think that a lot of folks out there are giving relationship advice, dating advice, and all this stuff. What's up, y'all? Um, but I want to talk about more practical approaches to dating and finding a mate, um, and how really um, you got to be careful who you're listening to, because most of the folks out there giving relationship advice, they're not really giving relationship advice. They're just telling people what they want to hear, and that's the problem. They're just telling folks what they want to hear, and most people have reduced all this stuff to a fantasy. Meanwhile, on the other side, there's an entire agenda that's in place to destroy the family. If you think about the LGBTQP, don't forget X, Y, Z movement. The whole purpose of the movement is to destroy um, God's intended family. Now, it doesn't matter if a person is gay or trans or non-binary or bisexual, or whatever. That doesn't really matter. What matters is the intent behind the movement. So a person can be something, but the movement behind what they are is the problem. So the intent behind the LGBTQ movement is to destroy the family. The intent behind abortion is to destroy the family. Like, so the intent behind these movements, the intent behind women's rights is to destroy the family. The intent behind the fight against racism is to destroy like all of these agendas and movements really come down to a basic destroying of the family. Um, and so that's the basic premise for all of this stuff, because Satan is going to attack the family, and he's particularly going to attack the women in that relationship. As I mentioned before, Satan's appeal to Eve was what he represented. And he really represented her ego, because he wanted to be like God, and deep down inside, so did Eve. Um, but again, the vantage point of Eve was she was created after everything was done. So she doesn't know what it took to she didn't know what it took for her to be there. And I think that when it comes to a man's journey is like that. A man's journey is like Christ's journey, where I know there's a part where Christ is on the cross, and he's like, why hast thou forsaken me? And even before that, he was in the garden talking about, taking this cup from me. These are the challenges that every man has to face, because every man has to hop on this journey to really become who God wants him to be. The man's journey and the woman's journey is different, because the man is tasked with being the leader of the family. So the man's journey has to be very intentional, has to be very purposeful, and has to almost be, non-self-serving in any kind of capacity, because what he's tasked with. If you think about it, Christ's journey really mirrors a man's journey. If you think about it, the Bible says that Christ loves us, or the man is to love his wife like Christ loves the church. So if you think about it, there are correlations between Christ and a man. That's why a man has to get up on that cross and has to sacrifice himself for his family. This is why submission from the woman is so necessary, because the man is literally giving up everything. And, if somebody is to try to harm the family, then the man has to put his life on the line. So how could a man put his life on the line if the woman isn't being submissive? It's just not going to happen. And this is another problem where the woman has a task of developing, getting on her path to be able to respect the man enough to submit to him. Now, all this stuff sounds old and it sounds archaic and barbaric, but in the end, this is God's plan, and this is how it's going to work. Women innately don't respect weak men, and we're going to talk about this. Women don't respect weak men. They don't. You look at any guy that's weak and soft, women don't respect him. Now, women will use him, but she doesn't respect him. And respect is the number one need of a man. And so a woman can love a man and not respect him. A woman can love a man and not respect him, just like a man can sleep with a woman and not love her. It's the same thing. It's just how we're wired. One's not better than the other. But for the man to fully be who he is to the family, to the wife, and to the children, is going to require submission, no different than God requires submission, and that God requires obedience. Why it says obedience is greater than sacrifice. But today we're going to talk about family, relationships, and dating. Now on the screen, you all, I have this group. Now they said this group was a racist group. Now this group was a racist group, they said, and the group had a sign that said, "Strong families make strong nations." Now I went to their website. I'm gonna say this. The group really was targeted because they were going against the Pride parade, Pride march, or whatever. What you all are going to find is that the Pride movement, the LGBTQ movement, is going to make you all compromise all of your principles, meaning they're going to present things to you and force it down your throat. They're going to force these things on you, and when you try to push back, great resistance. That's why I don't know if you remember in LA, when viral, because they were in the spa with the woman and the child, and there was other children in there and women, and the guy comes in there butt naked with his penis exposed, saying he was a woman, but he's doing it in front of women and children. And so they complained about it, and the place said we can't do anything because he has the right to do that. But the very next day, when the group tried to protest the establishment, meaning they stood out in front of the establishment and said this is wrong, Antifa came and basically beat everybody up. So they've shown you that when you try to go against this trans movement and this LGBTQ movement, you're going to be met with force, and the police are not going to protect you. Meaning in the future, going against this trans movement or this transhumanism movement, they're going to be able to murder you in the street and nobody's going to say anything. I'm just telling you what's going to happen. So what you all understand is that all of these agendas and movements are getting your consent now. They're getting your consent. So this group right here is saying we're going to stand against. Now think about it. This is supposed to be a racist group. Now the group could have said strong white families, strong Aryan families, strong European families, strong families other than these other races, the colored people. They could have said anything, but instead they chose to say strong families make strong nations. So the racist group could have chose to put anything racist on this banner. So why didn't they? If they're so racist, they have a website, I'm gonna read through it, they're supposedly so racist, then why didn't this group put any racism on the banner? Why didn't this group, at their most popular moment in history, where everybody knows who they are now, in their most viral moment, why wouldn't they choose their biggest moment to just put something racist on the banner so it's clear to everybody that they're racist? I'll tell you why. Because they're talking about families. And what you all are going to realize is that the greatest threat to these agendas is the family. So anybody talking about family, they're going to put a stigma on you. They're going to say you're racist. They're going to say you're sexist. They're going to say you're homophobic. They're going to say you're transphobic. They're going to say you everything bad in the book if you're standing on family. But Strong families make strong nations is plural. So if they said a strong family makes a strong nation, then I could kind of say, okay, maybe that's a slight nuance of just saying the white family. But they said strong families make strong nations, meaning it's plural, meaning nations other than their nation. But again, what you understand is that the goal is to destroy the family. So now anything that's promoting family is automatically going against the LGBTQP, don't forget X, Y, and Z movement. Not the people, but the intent of the movement. Just like feminism had an intent and it had nothing to do with empowering women. The feminism movement had nothing to do with empowering women. We're going to get into it today. And really, what you all got to understand is that in life, we are going to get on a path and it's going to be intentional, especially for a man. If you look at any movie, any hero type of film, the hero always has to go through a rites of passage. He always has to go through something to prove who he really is. But who is he really proving it to? Is he proving it to God or is he proving it to himself? You see, in God's masterful design and God's masterful plan, what God is trying to do is God is trying to get us to be like God through character, not through biting a fruit, not through listening to Satan, but through character development. God's whole system involves in character building. That means you creating the person, you creating God inside the person. But it's not for you to be God how you think God is on a big scheme of things, but it's for you to be God in that you see things how God sees things. But this journey, everybody has to walk. You know, I always say that God is calling everybody. God's call is out there for everyone, but you still got to pick the phone up. Again, this whole entire thing is about character building. God is calling everyone, but you have to pick the phone up. You can say that Jesus came to save, but you got to want to be saved. The irony of calling people male chauvinistic, even back in the day when the Titanic sank, if you look at the Titanic, just go look at how many men died versus how many women and children died. Almost all the women and children made it off the Titanic. So what does that tell you? That tells you that even in a time period that they're telling you that men were so bad, when the Titanic was sinking, all those men chose to risk their lives for women and children they didn't know. During a time period where men were supposed to be so male chauvinistic, women were so oppressed on the Titanic, just go look at the numbers. Look at how many women and children died versus the men. Almost all of the women and children made it off of the Titanic because men chose to risk their lives for women and children they did not know. Because that's what a man does. A man is going to sacrifice. A man is going to guide, provide, and assume all responsibility. This is why a man's path is different from a woman's path. Because a man is tasked with the responsibility. So when you think about Yeshua on the cross, you got to think about him being tasked with the responsibility. This is why when you're in the garden, and we all go through our own personal gardens of Yosemite, but when you're in the garden, you're going to say, take this cup from me. Most men don't pick up the cup. And taking the cup can't be taken by God because God didn't have you pick the cup up. You picked the cup up. So even in Christ saying, take the cup from me, God can't even take it from you because God didn't give you the cup in the first place. You took the cup because you said, I'm going to do it. And that's where we are today. And this is why manhood is so important. And this is why family is so important, because these type of ideologies, these type of thinkings prevent this new world order from taking place, prevent this great reset from happening. They don't want men to be men for this reason. This is why the man has to go on this journey alone. The man has to go on a journey and find solitude in who he really is. The man has to discover and prove to himself that he is who God said he is. This is a man's journey. It's not a woman's journey. This is a man's journey. And most men don't do it. Most men don't do it because they're terrified of what might happen. Y'all seen the movie 300, when the men, when the men or boys or young men probably going through puberty, they have to go out into the wilderness and they got to come back alive. If you remember, Leonidas went into the wilderness by himself with nothing. He had to make a weapon, and the wolf came in that night, and then the wolf came to kill him, but he ended up killing the wolf. But in the wolf, who is he? Who does the wolf represent? The wolf represents him killing what? His lower self, because that part is a transition. The wolf is him killing the boy, killing and becoming a man. He's killing the immaturity. He's killing the selfishness. He's killing the weakness. He's killing everything that prevents him from not just being a man, but eventually being a king. This is why the rites of passage is present throughout all cultures in society, and it's for the men, because men have the task of leading. But what they don't want you to do is, they don't want you to listen to a real man, because they don't want you to spot out these agendas. Because once you're around a real man, you can clearly see what's going on. That's why it's so pivotal for men to be in the household. But let me go to their website. I'm sorry. Let me go to their website. Now this group is called Patriot Force, and I'm going to read why they said it was racist. Why they said it was racist. Hold on, I don't know where it is. It's actually hard to find the website, which lets me know that most people haven't even read the website. It's going on what the TV said. But I know that if the TV is telling me something, I just go ahead and I find the opposite. And I had it on my phone, but I can't find it. It's on my phone, but because it was so hard finding the website. I can't even find the website because I basically I looked it up. Anyway, oh man, this is crazy, and it's on my phone. I thought I sent the link to myself. I apologize, y'all. I think the group is called. If someone can find the website, because it had a different ending on it besides .com. It was like I thought it was called Patriot Force. They got some action figures coming up, so I guess it's not Patriot Force. It's something else. Hold on, let me find the website. Let me just put in Patriot Racist. That's what it is. My bad, y'all. Patriot Front. I'm sorry. Patriot Front. That's what it is. So I just want to read to you all. And again, if the TV is telling me something, I know it's the opposite. I'm just, that's my rule of thumb. If the TV is telling it to me, I just know it's the opposite. Oh, I found, here we go. So I'm going to read to you all what's on their website. So their first thing is life, recognition. Americans will fully recognize themselves as a people, not merely citizens or residents of a country, but a people bearing a unique national interest rooted in our heritage on this continent. Our people born to this nation of our European race must reforge themselves as a new collective capable of asserting our right to cultural independence. The life of this nation, unique among all others, will be defended. Now, what's going to happen is most of the propaganda out there just makes a blanket statement and it says that white people are bad, right? So the average white person, whether they're good or bad, is labeled bad. So the average white person could be a good person and they're still called racist. So what do you think the pushback is to that? What is the pushback to someone calling you racist and you're not racist? Because if you say you're not racist, it only fuels the fact that you're more racist. So what they really want the white person to do is they want every white person to admit that they're racist. And then once they admit they're racist, then you can justify what you do to white people. I'm telling you all now that white people are going to be demonized to a point where they're not going to be able to be patriots. They're not going to be able to stand for America. They're not going to be able to stand for the flag. So they're going to be done away with because the powers that be know that these white patriots are going to actually fight. You see, nobody's protested against these pride or LGBTQ people except this group. And as soon as they did it, they got arrested. But I just think it's funny that the only group going against them are the group they're calling racist. Why aren't the folks from our community going against the group? Why aren't the folks from our community with single parenthood being at 74%? Why isn't our community going against them saying, you know, we need the family? Why hasn't our group gone against BLM who said they want to destroy the family? So you see, there's something very peculiar here in that the only group brave enough to go against the LGBTQ group are white people who they're calling racist. Number two, victory, representation. The faithful of the nation will foster a social, moral, and civil national health, which will allow the people to prosper alongside the guidance of a representative state that ensures an existence for them and their posterity. No placement of private interests above that of common good will stand unopposed as the barriers impeding the nation's will are overcome. Sovereignty will be pursued with the securing of the American homeland against the invasion of foreign nations and interests. The victory of the American spirit upheld by a sovereign and legitimate state will be complete. So, as you can see, this group is against the Great Reset and New World Order. It's just convenient that this group that's against them destroying the family, against the New World Order, against the Great Reset are racist. Meanwhile, no one from our community is going against what these people are doing. Nobody. Nobody's going against these people, these groups, BLM being a pro-trans group, these groups grooming our children. No one from our community is actually actively going against the group, which should let you know that the folks in our group out there fighting for racism are working with the system. Because the folks that aren't working with the system, they talk about strong families make strong nations, get arrested and get accused of being racist. Now, the funny thing is, I'm gonna play some videos. They said they found these people hiding in a U-Haul. If you can see this picture, you can't see it on YouTube, but on Instagram, these folks are in the middle of a street with bullhorns and the banners that say strong families make strong nations. How are they hiding? How is this group hiding? It doesn't make any sense. Revolution, liberty, revolution. The revival of the American revolutionary spirit will guide the people towards their inalienable right to a self-determination on the course to fulfill their destiny. America will be unshackled from tyrannical rule. The corrupt and ineffective state, which subverts the national interests to favor or global plutocracy, is no longer legitimate to govern and must face alteration or abolition. An unwavering resistance will meet all enemies of the people and the nation, both foreign and domestic. the liberty of our people, paramount to our cause, will be secured. So does it sound like they're racist, or does it sound like they're against what's going on? Does it sound like they're racist, or does it sound like they're against what's going on? I'm just asking. I'm just asking. Does it sound like they're racist, or does it sound like they are against what is going on? And what you all are going to understand is that anybody going against these agendas is going to be labeled as a racist, as a sellout, as homophobic, as all these bad things. And I guarantee nobody went to their website. And people are going to say, well, the fact that they said European makes them racist, as if Europeans, white Europeans, Caucasian, whatever you want to call them, don't have a right to be white. What they're telling white people is that you don't have a right to be proud to be white, but everybody else has the right to be proud of what they are. That's basically what they're saying. You can be proud of Hispanic, you can be proud in Asian, you can be proud in Black, you can be proud in trans, you can be proud in gay, but you can't be proud in white. So you already see what the agenda is. It's very clear. But we all know being proud is going to lead to destruction. So even if the group is proud to be white, they eventually going to fall because pride coming before destruction, as we've discussed. This is a friend of mine. I'm gonna let her talk about this real quick. She posted some videos talking about it, but I want you to listen to what she has to say.
So they could trick y'all, but they can't trick me. Let me reiterate that. They can trick y'all, but they can't trick me. So if a slogan says strong families, plural, strong nations, plural, reclaim America, that means they're white supremacists. It's the same exact thing they did to the Moorish militia, Rise of the Moors. And y'all can't see that? So when one stands on their constitutional rights, they are automatically considered extremists. They can trick y'all, but they can't trick me. Fact, shout out to Patriot Front. Okay? Okay? Because a lot of people out here don't know what's going on. Okay? Okay? And the media has the sheet locked. Okay? That's what's going on. All right? You can't trick me.
So her name is World Goddess Bambay L32, World Goddess _BAM _BEY _ EL32 number. World Goddess _BAM BEY _ EL and the number 32. I'm gonna play another video she said.
Yo, I want to give a fat shout out to a few people real quick. Now I'm saying fat shout out to George Soros, Joe Burden, Bill Fence, Elon Musk. Because the way they invested in the media right now, buddy, yo, they doing a fantastic job. You gotta give due to Caesar what due to Caesar. I mean, come on now, the reverse psychology. I mean, you gotta give credit where it's due. I mean, the fiat come in handy. Like, oh, money's for evil. Nah, it does a lot. Apparently. Anyone that stands on their constitutional rights, they're automatic extremists. Shout out to Rise of the Moors for kicking this whole gun control thing off, because ever since then, It's been a lot of orchestrated events. Yo, the United States corporation is wild crazy, Brody. What, like, people not stupid out here, man. I don't know what y'all drinking. I don't know if it's Clorox or breakfast, but listen, nobody's dumb out here. Well, I'm not, at least. I don't know, but I can't speak for everybody else, but.
So that is a world goddess _ BAM, BAM _ Bay, BEY _ EL32. So if you notice in the group's website, they were mentioning things like sovereignty, mentioning things like tyrannical governments, mentioning everything that they're against. They're against this new world order and against this, against this great reset. And it's just funny that this group is called racist. And I get it, because anytime a person that's white mentions they're not ashamed to be white, they're automatically racist, as if they have to be ashamed to be what they were born. It's just absolutely insane. But and I'm sure I'll be called a whole bunch of sellouts and coons for the beginning of this video, but we're just gonna ride with it. Another video, then I'm gonna get off these guys.
All right, y'all, let's talk about it. So I had so many questions about this. My first question was, how in the hell did the police know that these men was in this U-Haul? So the story goes that somebody seen them climbing in the U-Haul and said it looked like a little army, and they called the police. Now the thing that I don't get is, you see all these police right here, right? You see that, right? Somebody please explain this to me. Now, I done got a couple seatbelt tickets in my day. So how the hell did these men get back in the back of the U-Haul to go to jail? What? Now, I ain't no cop. I'm just saying that don't add up to me. Because I did not know it was legal to ride in the back of the U-Haul.
So basically, now they said it was all this stuff going on and they didn't have any guns. It's a setup, people. It's a setup. At the end of the day, they're setting a precedence. If you go against the LGBTQP, don't forget XYZ movement, they're gonna label you a terrorist. If you go against these mandates and all this stuff, they're gonna label you a terrorist. If you go against the New World Order, they're gonna label you a terrorist. If you go against climate change, they're gonna label you a terrorist. If you go against the Great Reset, they're gonna label you a terrorist. If you want to keep your guns, they're gonna label you a terrorist. That's what it's all gonna boil down to. That's it. It don't go no deeper than that. If you're standing on having a strong family, they're gonna label you a terrorist. It's just that simple. That's just it, and that's all. It don't go no deeper than that. So y'all can think it's about race and all this stuff, and they're gonna suck you right into a camp, because they're gonna tell all the black folks to go to the camp because the racist white people are roaming the streets. They're gonna tell y'all that there's white vigilante groups roaming the streets, killing black folks. Come to the camps to be safe. And it's going to be the same white groups with the Peter Pandemic. They told you the Peter Pandemic was roaming the streets, killing everybody except the homeless. The Peter Pandemic was in the streets, in every home, in every alleyway, in every building, in every school, seeking for whom it could devour. The Peter Pandemic was killing everybody except the homeless, and y'all believed it. They're going to tell y'all the same thing about going to them camps. You got to go to the camps because racist white men are killing people, and y'all going to fall for it. Even though when you walk outside your front door, you're not going to see it. Even when you ride down your street, you're not going to see it. You're not going to see none of this stuff, but they're going to tell you that racist white men are running around here in pickup trucks, killing and lynching black people. Go to the camps to be safe. I'm telling you what they're going to do. I'm telling you what they're going to do. It's going to be so easy. It's going to be too easy. Now, I know I'm going to be a whole bunch of sellouts and all this stuff, but okay. But let's go to the families. Now let's get to relationships. Now let's get to families and relationships and stuff. This is all love teaching. So a person named the real ISO, The real ISO spelled, I got to give folks their shout outs. The real ISO spelled DAREALICEO. It's spelled the real ICO, CEO. But anyway, DAREALICEO, the real ISO on Instagram. So he basically puts this up. He says, Sierra is the wife that many women admire to be, but she is not the wife many men want. I'm not saying that this to trash her. I'm saying that this so women can understand men better. So women look at Russell Wilson as a husband, as an ideal husband. Men don't look at Sierra as an ideal wife. Why not? Why would women look at Russell Wilson as a viable or an ideal husband, but not look at Sierra, not men look at Sierra as an ideal wife? This right here is the fundamental difference between men and women. What men look for in a woman and what women look for in a man. The problem is that women aren't talking to men to understand why men wouldn't want Sierra to be their wife. Women aren't talking to men to get that. And that's the problem. So the reason why women look at Russell Wilson as a viable husband is because, well, first of all, he can provide security. He can provide shelter. He can provide a lifestyle that's luxurious. He can provide comfort. He can protect. So from a basic level, we understand why women want Russell Wilson. Why don't men want Sierra? So if men don't need protection and shelter and all these things from a woman, then what do they want from a woman? Why isn't Sierra an ideal candidate for men to be a wife? Someone said they only like Russell Wilson because he simps behind her. That's a part of it too. That's a part of it too. So why do men think Russell Wilson is a simp? Now, what women are going to tell you, women are going to say, well, they just hating on Russell Wilson because he found a good woman. They're just hating on. I remember when Sierra said that she prayed some little prayer or something. That's how she got Russell Wilson. And she wrote a book. And there's a bunch of women out there praying like Sierra did to find a Russell Wilson. But I bet she hasn't taken a survey to see how many women read her book and got a husband. I bet she ain't did a survey to see if her book helped women find a husband. Just like Steve Harvey wrote a book, Wait 90 Days. Did that book help women get married? When Derek Jackson was giving all his advice, all the advice he gives, is it helping women get married? Now, I've seen testimonials of women saying that Kevin Samuels helped them. I haven't seen any of them saying that Steve Harvey helped them, Derek Jackson helped them, or Sierra helped them get a husband. I haven't seen it. But Sierra, in all her talking, she didn't address one thing. And this is why men don't see her as a viable wife. Sierra chose to have a child with Future. And y'all can say it doesn't matter, but it does. I've never seen Sierra address the reason why she had a child with Future, not honestly. Most women are going to say, I was in love. They're going to blame it on love. I was in love, or he tricked me. He wasn't the man I thought. But no woman's going to be honest. And that's why most men don't want to date single mothers. It's not because they have a child. It's because the woman is, first of all, not going to put that man first as the headship of the household. And then second of all, it's because the woman never addresses how she had the child with the guy she is saying no good now. How did the no good man get you to have a child with him? The question has to be answered, because a wise man, a prudent man, a righteous man A good man is going to ask these questions before he even talks to you. He gonna say, now, why did she have a baby with Future? Now, Russell Wilson, he was married to a woman who was Caucasian, and she was cheating on him with his teammate. So before he met Sierra, he had gone through a marriage that ended in infidelity. And I brought up white women because culturally, the dating is different. Now, women all require the same thing. I don't care what race the woman is. The women require the same thing no matter what color she is. She don't require a man. She require the same thing. I'm telling you that before Russell Wilson got with Sierra, he was married and his wife was cheating on him with his teammate. So the devastation alone might have put Russell Wilson in a different scenario. And he's also seen as a, type of guy that's, on the lower end of whatever. I don't want to say it. But Sierra got pregnant by Future, and Future had multiple baby mothers. So you got to explain to me, if it's me, you got to explain to me, if you're the woman, how you would think having a child with a man that had multiple baby mothers was going to be a good thing. You got to explain that to me. You got to explain that to me. And then you also got to explain how that thinking has changed. Just because she married Russell Wilson doesn't mean that her thinking has changed. Not when Russell Wilson is a way better option than Future. This is why men don't see Sierra as a wife, because men don't buy it. I'm not saying she's not genuine. I'm not saying none of these things. I'm simply saying the reason why a man doesn't see Sierra as a wife is because of the reason I'm listing. Because men think differently, especially righteous men. Especially righteous men. So righteous men, prudent men, wise men, God-fearing men, men that think when you have a child with another man and he talks to you about that man, and you tell that man that this man is A, B, C, D, and D, everything bad in the book, he's going to question why you had a child with him, and now why do you want to be with me? You have to come to the man and explain that to him, and most women don't explain that. Most women simply say, I was in love, I was young, I was dumb. It's not really good enough for a wise man. That was good for the average guy, but it ain't good enough for a wise man. Type of man that you all want, it's not gonna be good enough for him. You're gonna have to explain to him your thought process and having that child with Future after he already had multiple baby mothers. You gotta explain that. And then you gotta explain how that thinking is no longer in you. How now you see where you erred, not where Future erred, where you erred. Where you take responsibility for your actions and having that child with Future and not just blame it on love. So when Sierra's talking in this book, I need to know in the book if she addresses her decision making and what really drove her to want to be with Future and have a child with him. What was she attracted by in Future? And is that same attraction still there? You see, a wise man is going to assess all these things. Society tells you that men only want one thing, and that tricks women because it makes women think that men are stupid. Men are stupid, especially wise men. They're not stupid. They're very prudent and thoughtful. They're going to sit back and observe you. He's going to watch you walking around in the gym. He's going to observe you interacting with people. Before he approaches you, a wise man, he's going to observe you to see how you interact. So what I'm telling you all is the reason why Russell Wilson is viable for women as a husband and Sierra not viable for men is the fact that men and women think about relationships and marriages totally different. Totally different. The man knows if I get with this woman, I'm going to be responsible for this woman. If I'm responsible for this woman, she can't be some rogue beast out there attacking everything that it sees. She's going to have some kind of logic, some kind of wisdom, some kind of thought process in her mind. That's why the Bible describes a woman as a man's wisdom, because it's the man's wisdom that picks the woman. It's the man, you got to be wise when selecting a wife. So everything I'm talking about right now, do you honestly think Russell Wilson went through all these steps and checks and balances before picking Sierra? You think he asked all these questions? You think he had a conversation with her about Future? Of course not. The date would have ended. They wouldn't have got on past the first date. Of course he didn't. Sierra is attractive, smart, well-spoken, all these great things. But I know deep down inside, he didn't have this tough conversation with Sierra. And I always ask women, why did you pick him? Why did you choose him to have a child with? The greatest gift a woman can give a man is a child, is his legacy being extended. So why would you choose to do that for Future, that already had multiple baby mothers who he wasn't with? I'm sorry. We got to talk about that. We got to talk about that. Someone says that the woman's is described as the man's crown. Yeah. What does a man have to do to become king? He got to be wise. He got to be strong. He got to be faithful. He got to be everything that God requires a man to be. So men don't look at Sierra as a wife because men can see through it. I don't care what nobody says. If that book, she got a book about praying to God, about finding a husband, the first book should have said how I had a baby with Future. That's what the first book should have been. It should have been a whole book on how her thought process, how she felt, what she was attracted to, how she agreed with feminism. All this stuff should have been dealt with when it came to her having that child with Future. And Sierra was the same person out here pushing that jab, ironically. So the men don't buy it. The men don't. You can't tell me you can't tell me you a God-fearing woman and you pushing that snake bite. So I know you a fraud off that alone. I knew she was a fraud before that. I knew she was a fraud before that. But the reason why men don't date women with children or want to have married women with children is not because they have a child. And keep in mind, the men in our community are the number one stepfathers on the planet. The men of our community get bashed for not being fathers, but the flip side to it is we're actually stepfathers more than any other race of men. How ironic. How ironic that the men in our community are stepfathers more than any other group on the planet. But it would make sense because 74% of our children are born to single mothers. So it makes sense why we would be the number one stepchildren. So even in all this chaos and destruction, the men in our community are still stepping up to the plate and raising children that aren't theirs more than any other group on the planet, but you'll never hear this stat on TV. You'll never hear these relationship women talking about it. You know how many women I know that have a child with the bad guy, but want the good guy to raise him. She want to get her cake and want to eat it too. So I got to see a book from Sierra about what made her have a child with Future. So once I read that book, then I'll read the praying book about finding a husband, pray, all that stuff. I'll read that book second. I need the Future book first. Somebody said I had an awesome stepdad. I know you did. So this is why women aren't men, and this is what Kevin Samuels was talking about. He wasn't, because Kevin Samuels' mother was a single mother that got remarried. So he was not against single mothers getting remarried. He was talking about the mindset of the single mother. The single mother telling a guy, you have the same responsibilities as if these were your children. You got to guide, provide, and assume all the responsibility. But the caveat is, I'm not putting you above the child, and you can't tell my child what to do ultimately. So you asking a man to guide, provide, assume all the responsibility, and do it in second place. Do it in third place, really. A man don't mind being in second place. But third place, you asking the man to be in third place with all the responsibilities. This is why men don't like picking women with children. It's not because they have children. It's because the woman's going to say, that's my child. You're not that child's father. And the child going to say, you're not my father. If I'm taking care of you, I'm guiding, providing, assuming responsibility, I'm your father. So the problem with the single mother is that her leverage, she thinks, is the child. Not realizing you don't have no leverage with a man with no children and you got a child. You don't have any leverage. You don't have any leverage. This is why the Sierra model and Russell Wilson don't really work. Because the single mother has to realize that whatever man I bring into my life, I got to put him first. I got to put him at the head of my life. How many women with children going to do that? How many women with children going to take that man and say, I'm putting him at the head of my life above me and my child? He going to lead the family. How many women going to do it? Somebody mentioned Megan Good and Devon Franklin. They were talking a good game, but it still ended in divorce. I keep telling you all, this stuff don't work because a man got to go on a journey, and I understand it. It's so clear. The man has to go on the journey by himself. He got to go through a rites of passage by himself to even be qualified to be a husband, and most men ain't gonna do it. Most men hopping from relationship to relationship. We know the women are doing it. Most men hopping from relationship to relationship. They never taken that time alone to find their purpose, to fulfill their purpose, to understand why they even here on the planet in the first place. They don't do it. That's why these marriages don't work. The man got to go on the journey. Solitude. You saw when Batman was fighting Bane, and Batman had all them little tricks. When he met Bane, it didn't work. The smoke bomb didn't work. The little punches didn't work. Nothing worked when he faced Bane. Because Bane represented the truth. Bane picked him up and broke his back. And what did they put Batman? Batman had to go down into that hole. He had to go in that hole of solitude by himself and really prove to himself who he really was. God already said who we are. So God is clear on who we are. We got to figure it out for ourselves. That's why the man got to go out onto that hole, and then he got to pull himself out of that hole so he can see what's really going on. So he can really be the protector for the woman in the household. All this stuff a man got to go through, and you think he going to pick a woman telling him off the gate, my child come first? I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. My child come, I wouldn't do it. I'm cool. Because ain't no way in the world I'm finna break my back and do all this stuff and I still get put third in. You crazy. And don't have a dog. Let me go on these dogs real quick. Tell somebody's dogs. Dogs are a man's best friend. I said this before. Dogs are a man's best friend. Diamonds are a girl's best friend. Women get dogs to replace a man or a child. Most of the time, that's why women get dogs. To replace a man or replace a child, the dog becomes a substitute. I see women all the time with these dogs, treating the dogs like they're children or it's their man. No good man, no righteous man, no self-respecting man is going to put himself below a dog. Now, women have these dogs and they think they're saying something by saying they dog come first and all this stuff. If your dog come first, you're going to be single. If you do get a man, he either going to get tired and leave or he's going to be the simp. You ain't going to respect him. All these women have these dogs, and you asking a man to watch you interact with this dog, like this dog is your child or your spouse or your boyfriend, and you think that a self-respecting man is gonna come in that situation and put himself below the dog. He ain't gonna do it. This is why Kevin Samuel say, get a dog and die alone, because we all know that when a woman gets the dog, it's really one step to being single for the rest of her life. I'm sorry to tell y'all this. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but when women have a dog, it's because it's replacing a man or a child. When a man is observing that, he is not going to put himself below a dog. Ladies, this is why you're single. Because a man can see it. It's a red flag. It's a red flag to a man, especially a good man. Because a good man ain't going to do it. I'm not telling y'all not to have a pet. I'm saying, ladies, you have a dog, ladies. The dog should really be groomed for you to have a man. So the dog should be trained to have a man in the house. So if you do have a dog, you grooming the dog to be the man's best friend. That's what you should be doing. Y'all should be doing dog training one-on-one. Y'all should be grooming the dogs to be with you and the man. Because dog is a man's best friend. Because dog is a man's best friend. Why? Because dogs are loyal unconditionally. Dogs love unconditionally, and men honor that when it comes to the dog. That's why them homeless dogs never run away. The homeless dogs ain't on a leash. They never run away. You know why? Because the homeless dogs say, I got somebody I'm gonna ride for, he gonna ride for me. It's a great relationship. That ain't why you don't see no homeless women. You rarely see a homeless woman with a dog. Rarely. So what am I saying? Ladies, what I'm saying is that when a man sees you interacting with these dogs, you better be interacting with that dog like that dog is your pet. So if that man see that dog and that dog is laying in the bed with you, I'm just telling, listen, don't get mad at me for saying what men are thinking, but this is what y'all don't like. Y'all don't really want to hear from a man. Y'all want to hear from Derrick Jackson. Or you want to hear from Future and Chris Brown. I'm telling y'all what a man is what he's looking at. If a man got you post in the morning, you doing selfies with you and the dog in the bed, the man already knows that side of the bed is occupied with a canine. He ain't going to subject himself to it. If you get mad at the man, he got to sleep on the couch. If you get mad at the dog, he still got to sleep in the bed. What self-respecting man going to put up with it? He ain't going to do it. He ain't going to do it. I'm not saying you can't have a dog. I'm not saying you can't love the dog. I'm simply saying, ladies, if you have a dog, it is to be your pet or for your children, not to replace a man or a child. And a man can see this. So when y'all post these pictures with you and these dogs, especially when y'all got multiple dogs, the man is already saying, these folks done restricted my account again. God, why do they keep doing it? Listen, y'all, Instagram is so crazy. Instagram is crazy, man. Now they done got my videos back to an hour. Every time I have some content, man, listen, my account is so censored, it's crazy. It's crazy. It is nuts. It's crazy. So I got a minute left on this video. So I'm gonna have to log out and just come back on. But I'm gonna come back on with these dogs in the bed. We finna address this. But my point is, a man that's good is gonna be prudent. He's going to observe you, ladies. So he's going to look and see how am I going to fit in this woman's life? Is she going to respect me? Is she going to put me first? This is what a man is thinking. If you put the man first, he'll give you the world. Ladies, it's really a great trade-off. If you put the man first, he gives you the world. I don't know why y'all wouldn't do it. I don't know why y'all wouldn't do it. But I'll be right back, y'all. Hold on, bear with me. Instagram. I mean, Facebook. Just bear with me real quick, y'all. YouTube. I was just getting good. Well, Instagram is a fool, boy. I'm talking about a fool. Instagram is a fool. You talking about censorship?
I do. I do.
You talking about censorship? These folks talking about 1,000% tax on owning the AR. I'm telling you, boy, they coming for them guns. I'm telling you, all this stuff coincides. So, but back to these dogs. So, dogs are a man's best friend. Diamonds are a girl's best friend. So what I'm saying is, ladies, you're really shooting yourself in the foot if you have these dogs and you are treating them like they are your man or your child. For women, dogs are pets. So there's no man, ladies, that's going to watch you all place this dog on child status or boyfriend status and want to be involved in that. He's just not going to do it. I know it sounds harsh to say. I know it sounds bad because now y'all have dogs out there. But if you really, really examine why you got the dog, if you really sit on that couch and examine why you got a dog, I guarantee you'll come up with the fact you got the dog because you was probably lonely. You felt like something was missing. Either it was a child or it was the man. And I get it. But that feeling that women get, that you get, ladies, that feeling of I'm alone or I want to be in a married relationship, that's your spirit letting you know it's time for you to start becoming a wife. It's time for you to start working on being a wife. What most women do is most women, instead of working on being a wife, instead of becoming a wife, they start reading books by Steve Harvey and Sierra. They start going to church and start tithing and paying offerings to getting a husband. They start doing everything but dealing with the issue of them not being a wife. And again, you being a wife is your own journey. It's an internal journey that you must partake in. So that way, when a man sees you, he can see a wife. And I'm telling y'all, ladies, it don't take long. A man can spot a woman and he know immediately whether she got potential to be a wife or not. He talked to her long enough, he gonna know. When he's on that first date, he gonna know. I've been on dates with a woman, all she did for 3 hours was talk about herself. Literally. I'm sitting there like, she don't even realize what she even doing. She's just talking about herself. You know how much it means to a man for you to ask a man about himself? Not questioning him about past women and all this stuff. Actually, you know how much it means to a man for the woman to just ask the man about himself. Ask him what he enjoys. Ask him what motivates him. Ask him what his favorite moments are in sports. What was your favorite moment in life? What was you most scared? Like, men appreciate a woman just asking them about the general concern and well-being that the man has. It just means so much. Just ask the man. What makes you tick? What motivates you? Just ask the man. Women that read 1,000 books on relationships, but ain't asked one man. And then you got your dog sitting there. We doing a FaceTime date, a video date, and you done brought your dog in there. This is my baby. This is my. He turned off immediately. He turned off immediately. Yeah, my YouTube page is monetized, but again, they say that my content has to be monetization worthy. So what I'm telling you all is how men look at these things and how you all look at these things is totally different. A good man, a wise man, a righteous man, he's going to be prudent. He's going to sit back. He's going to observe. He's going to ask questions. He's going to ask himself, do I really want to be involved with this woman that's telling me her dog is her child? I'm cool. I don't even want the headache. Now, some women get the dogs for the children, I get it. But most women get the dog to fill the void of that child or that man. And really it's the man, because you should want the child with the man. So really it's the man. So again, if you're showing pictures of the dog in your bed, it is a sign to a man that you are not to be dated and you're not wife material. I'm sorry. Your bed is a sacred place, ladies. The man views your bed as a sacred place. And if I got to share that sacred place with a dog, I'm not going to do it. If I got to share that sacred place with a dog, I'm not going to do it. Now, there are some men out there, some simps that's going to do it. It's some men that's going to do it. And a lot of women disagree with this because they got these dogs. But I guarantee now there's going to be a movement in about 10 years. It's going to be a bunch of women, single, suicidal, with dogs. It's going to be a lot of women, single, suicidal, with dogs because they bought into this feminism. Be a lot of women committing suicide because this stuff don't work. God made man for woman. Well, God made woman for man and man for woman. So anything other than that is going to come with some problems. I ain't saying that it's going to be impossible. It's just going to come with some problems. Now, I'm not saying you can't have a dog, y'all. I'm just saying that the dog can't be a replacement for your husband, boyfriend, or child. That's all I'm saying. And if someone says they don't want children, well, that's another story then. Another story. Thank you so much for the badge, Angie. I think Angie Burge. Yeah, the dog shouldn't be over anyone else. That's the problem. What happens is, and women don't realize they're doing this, when you have the dog in your bed, when the dog kissing you all in the mouth, a man sees that in a replacement of him. That's the man's position. Think about it. If the dog is in your bed every night and kissing you in the mouth, and you taking care of the dog and playing with the dog and feeding the dog, and the dog giving you companionship, only thing the dog is not doing is sleeping with you. And that would be bestiality. So the man's looking at it, well, the battle for the relationship is half there with the dog. I'm just saying, y'all. So ladies, don't take my advice for it. But you're going to get fed up and you're going to realize that it's the dog. It's the dog. You know, I love y'all, though. You know, I love y'all. You know, I say these things, but I love y'all. Now, I'm going to talk about this guy. Y'all know Dr. Boyce Watkins. Now, Dr. Boyce Watkins is a simp. And he's a simp. And most guys that are simps are only simps because they lack confidence. A man has to wrestle with the fact that he may be alone forever. A man has to wrestle with the fact that he may have to be alone for the rest of his life. Now, once he wrestles with that and conquers that, now he can properly assess a woman. What do you mean, Blanche? Well, I mean, if a man wrestles with the fact that I might be alone forever and I might never have sex again, then those two things can't be used against him when selecting a wife. This is why I talk about the man's journey being very difficult and very intentional, because you have to get to a point where you have to accept life by yourself. Once you conquer that, now when you're assessing a woman, you're not factoring in sex and you're not factoring in being alone. You're factoring in the quality of the woman. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? You're not factoring in sex and you're not factoring in being alone. You're just factoring in the quality of the woman. Someone said he's married. Yeah, he's married. He's married to a woman that when he wanted to get with her back in the day, she didn't want to get with him. And then after she got divorced and with these children, she wanted to get with him. I mean, listen, I don't make this stuff up. I'm not saying what they have isn't real. I'm just saying, based on what Dr. Boyce Watkins taught, how he talks, he's a simp because his thought process comes from a man that isn't confident. His thought process is coming from a man that isn't confident. Again, if I'm talking to a woman on the first date, I'm going to ask her, why didn't you choose me back then? We got to have a long discussion about why you didn't choose me all those years ago, and then discuss why you chose the guy you had the children with and got divorced from. We got to have a lengthy discussion that most women aren't going to want to partake in. That's how I know these conversations aren't happening, because the first date would be ruined. The first date would be ruined. This is why I tell you all don't date. This is why I say don't date. This is why I say exhaust the conversation. We should be talking with a list of questions, scenarios. Treat this thing like you would any other thing that would affect the rest of your life. When it comes to selecting a mate, it's going to affect the rest of your life. That means we got to exhaust the conversation. We got to talk about it all. Why didn't you pick me? She gonna say, well, I was young then. Okay, so what does young have to do with you not picking me? What was it about me that you didn't want? And what did you want? What did you end up picking? We gotta talk about it. Because I gotta figure out as a man if that same woman still exists. Because that same, like Sierra, could still be future Sierra, even married to Russell Wilson. Women have a great way of masking who they really are with the stuff around. That's why women are always doing stuff. That's why it's always vacation and brunch. They always doing stuff because they really hiding who they really are. All you gotta do is observe these women when ain't nothing going on. Most of the time you pan the camera to these women and they sitting there doing nothing, they gonna do something foolish for the camera, like shoot the bird up, like shoot a bird, or start twerking, or get silly. They gonna do something. An idle mind is the devil's playground. Y'all got to exhaust the conversation. Y'all going on too many dates. Too many. And all them dates is really just a meal. You really ain't got no intent of being with the person. Zameta Coin, I got you. ZMAC Coin, I'm sorry, ZMAC Coin, I got you. I got the intro to the commercial ready to go, but I got you. Someone said this is why it should be courtship and not dating. I agree 1,000%. Courtship versus dating. Now I'm gonna say this, that I'm gonna say this. Well, let me just play him. Let me just play what he said first. And he was against Kevin Samuels. Hold on.
At the same time, I think that all around the nation. And he's also been, I'm just going to say it, a Kevin Samuels hater for a while now. Let's check out what he had to say. I know some of y'all like what Kevin had to say. Some of y'all don't. I'm not here to judge that. It's your choice. He had over 1 million subscribers because there are millions of men who don't feel heard, who don't feel listened to, who don't feel respected. But at the same time, I think that men, we got to start listening to women, man. We got some men out here that just really, unfortunately, somebody screwed your head on backward. You got your masculinity from the internet because maybe you didn't have a daddy. Maybe you hate single mothers because your father didn't spend time with you, and you because you feel like you weren't worth anybody's love, that a child who had the misfortune of losing their father is not worthy of love either. You have a right to say, I don't want to date a single mom. But when you're marketing that and using that as an avenue to express vitriol amongst millions of single mothers out here, some of whom helped raise your raggedy, like that mama was your last line of defense between you and you being a little damn male hooker getting somebody poking in the butt every day. Like, without your mama, You would be dead, Negro. Can't you just express your own wishes without using that as a weapon to make people feel bad about a situation that they probably already feel bad about? First of all, Boyce, you're obviously upset, right? We could all see.
So, bye, Mimi. See you later, Mimi. We love you too, Mimi. So you heard Boyce Watkins, and so Kevin, again, talking about single mothers, Kevin Samuels was very clear about what the problem with single mothers were. The single mother is most of the time asking the man to do all of the things that her husband would do and the father of her children would do, but without any of the perks. So you're telling a man, you're behind my child and me, but you better do everything like you in the front. It's not how that works. That's not how that works. It's just not how it works. Nobody's spitting vitriol towards single mothers. That effect is just a lie. Kevin Samuel's mother was a single mother that got remarried. So he talks about how his mother got remarried. Again, nobody's against single mothers. That's not the issue. The issue is, what is the mindset of the single mother? And we got to have a conversation. We got to have a conversation as to why you had a child with this guy. We got to have a conversation why you had a child with another guy. We got to have the conversation, because I know through experience that the women that make these bad decisions can still be the same women even if they're married. It's just sometimes circumstances play out in our favor. It's just how it works. The Bible says that blessings fall on the just and the unjust. Eventually everybody get blessed, good or bad. It's just how everything works. So at the end of the day, it's not an attack on single mothers. It's for single mothers to realize, if you get a man in your life, he got to be the head of your household, whether he's your children's father or not. If you're not going to do that, then guess what? You're not qualified to have a man. It's just that simple. It ain't difficult. Like, it's a regular concept. If you want that man to be in your life, you have to put that man first. And when the woman puts the man first, the man gives her the world. Now, many people and this ain't even about Kevin Samuels or anything. I'm just simply saying that Boyce Watkins is a simp. And I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna show you right here. I'm gonna show you why else he's a simp. I'm gonna show you. I got the little it's a tweet he put up. It's a tweet he put up. Oh, please tell me I have the tweet. Instagram is so crazy, man. Man. I'm sorry, y'all. I had this Boyce Watkins tweet. Y'all got to be able to see it and read it to understand what I mean. I don't understand where all my stuff is going, man. That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah. Anyway, Dr. Boyce Watkins basically said that he's not going to apologize. Basically, he believes that he's being called a simp because he respects women. This is what he's trying to say. He's being called a simp because he respects women. Man, that's crazy. I must have deleted it, y'all. Anyway, he said that he basically is called a simp because he respects women. And that's just not true. He's a simp based on his mindset, and it's his thinking. And at the end of the day, most men that are in this, what they call beta realm, don't hold women accountable because they feel like they wouldn't get a woman. So just like I got to hold myself accountable, I'm going to hold a woman accountable. So this is how I know people aren't really self-accountable, because there's no way you would hold yourself accountable and not another person. That's how I can tell when somebody's at home holding themselves accountable. Like at night before you go to bed, you're making an account of what you did that day. Okay, I could have did this better. I shouldn't have said this. I should have tried harder here. Should have worked harder here. Like every night you should be doing that. You should be praying and doing that assessment with yourself. But most folks ain't doing that. So when I see men out there talking about women and they're not holding women accountable, I already know you're not doing that at home. Your mind ain't even trained to even think that way, to even hold myself accountable. You know what? I should have did this. I should have said this. So I already know that Boyce Watkins didn't have that tough conversation with his wife. Just because you married don't mean it's legit. Because a marriage don't count unless you happy. I'm going to say it again. The marriage only counts if you're happy. Anybody can be married and miserable. Anybody. Let me find this to talk about some of these thinkings. But anyway, so Boyce Watkins basically, he's a simp, and I wish I could find the tweet and put it on the screen, but I can't. Oh well. But he is a simp, not because he's a bad father, not because he's a bad husband, not because he's a bad person. It's simply because the way he thinks. And he thinks that holding a woman accountable is somehow going against women, which is absolutely foolish. And that's really what it boils down to. If you listen to him, he has a very pandering message to women, but why wouldn't he? Because most of his subscribers, most of his people that pay him are women. It's no different than the pastor in the church. The pastor in the church is not going to get on a pulpit and say, men, this is what you look for in a woman. A pastor's not going to say, men, if women are exhibiting this kind of behavior, you shouldn't deal with them. A pastor's not going to do that. You know why? Because most of the people paying in the church are women. There's a reason why women don't get the truth, is because women pay with their emotions. So Dr. Boyce Watkins, most of his financial base is women. So why would he get on his platform and ever hold women accountable if women are cutting the check? He's not going to do it. He's not going to do it. You heard what he said. He said, Negro, you wouldn't even be alive. You wouldn't even be alive if you didn't have your single mother. How many of our men die from being with single mothers? Most of the men that get gunned down in the streets come from a single parent household. What's he even talking about? Single motherhood isn't good. Do you think single motherhoods are making our race better? No. But he's a simp. And only a simp would say that. The man needs to be in the home with the woman, and they love each other. That's the ideal scenario. That's the scenario. All that struggle talk he's talking about is foolishness. It's foolish. There's one young lady that articulated something very well. And I know I saved it. Here it goes. Listen to this young lady talk.
He basically said, like, modern women don't want stability, they want luxury. I think with the modern women, I think what the modern women have failed to realize is that the stability is what leads to the luxury. You can't have just a life full of luxury, especially if you're gonna have kids and stuff. Right. If you don't have a stable partner to build that with, it's like that's what leads to it, you know. So that's what we're missing, I think, is the willingness to make a sacrifice, because we're entitled, and especially when it comes to like how we look at men and what they earn, it's like it's not healthy. A lot of women now who don't want a man who makes what they make, because they're not looking at it as, oh, we're gonna combine everything. They're looking at it as, well, if I make 40 and you make 40, like, what I need you for? I think it's selfishness. Like we're selfish.
So just imagine the average woman being infected with feminism, and then add the fact that she has a child. Now put that woman with feminism, with this LGBTQ support, and then add a child and all this, and then put her in a dating world. It's an intensified version of what most of these women are, because she has a child. So the issue isn't a woman having a child or being a single mother. The issue is, how is she going to approach a relationship once she has a child? That's the problem. And most of these women, as we know, their minds are screwed up anyway. It's only exacerbated with a child. It only gets more magnified and worse. The average guy is not going to sign up to be with a woman if she has a child, because he knows she gonna put the child before him. And no man's gonna do that. No man's gonna have to pay all the money and then get second class treatment. He's not gonna do it. I'm sorry. If you look at the statistics, the men in our community are stepfathers the most out of any other demographic on the planet. The black man is stepfather to children the most, but yet they'll never mention it. They'll never get credit for it, but it's just a fact statistically. We take on the responsibility of other men's children more than any other group on the planet, and nobody even mentions it. So again, the honor is there, the character is there, but is the respect there? Is the respect there for the woman to say, if a man comes in my life, he's the head of this household, and my children are his children. Ain't no step in front of the dad. Even the term stepfather is disrespectful. Because if I'm paying for everything and protecting the family and providing and guiding and all this, and I get the term step, no, I need to get titled with dad. I'm sorry. But this is why most men don't do it. It's not because she has children, it's her approach to a relationship. And Boyce is a simp because of his thinking. Because of his thinking. Oh yeah, I deleted it because it was right here. It's because of his thinking. Let me switch real quick and let me go to speaking of children and the man in the household. So someone sent this to me from a book, and it's second graders. You all can't see it, but it's Words to Build. Oh man, y'all gotta bear with me because they blocked me to be able to look at stuff on my iPad. You know, have there's a book, and in the book it talks about diversity, and it's Words to Build Progress. So it's a second grade book, and it's that the brand is Scholastic, And it says words like identity, diversity, equity, inclusion, social justice, tolerance, and activism. Now, this is for second graders. And if you all can see it, it's in the rainbow colors. Now, when they talk about fighting against racism, all the movements will be co-opted by the LGBTQ movement and eventually the trans movement. But in this thing for second graders, it talks about identity, diversity, equity, inclusion, social justice, tolerance, and activism. All these things are what the trans community is saying. All these things are coming from the trans community. That's why they made this stuff in all rainbows. It's all rainbow colors. Even the statement that says words to build progress, it's even in rainbow colors. Activism includes standing up for others and working to make the world a better place. All this stuff lines right up with the LGBTQ and the trans movement. Tolerance, another trans word, a gay LGBTQ term. Tolerance means accepting people's differences without making judgments. Again, this is for second graders. This is second graders. Equity. Equity provides people with what they need without regard to where they come from. Again, they just started giving money in Palm Springs to folks that were trans just because they were trans. $900 a month for trans residents in Palm Springs just because they were trans. That's the equity piece. Social justice. Social justice recognizes that society must treat all people with fairness and respect and work toward change. Again, all this stuff is LGBTQP, don't forget X, Y, and Z movement. This is not for racism. This is for transphobia. This is for homophobia. This is for eventually transhuman phobia. Diversity. Diversity refers to people from all different kinds of backgrounds. Diversity includes different races, beliefs, abilities, strengths, cultures, and living situations. Living, I'm telling you, now this is for second graders. It's for second graders now. Inclusion. I can't read it, but we got it. I can't because the words are going on the screen. But inclusion, we know what that is. Identity. So identity is the first one on the list. That's why I read it backwards. Identity is a person's sense of who he or she is. Having a strong sense of identity can give you confidence and help you feel like you belong. This is the first one. So this is for children now. So when they're talking about critical race theory, what they're not talking about is critical race theory is the smokescreen. This is what they're doing for your children. Critical race theory is the smokescreen. This is what they want for your children. Words to build progress, talking about diversity, talking about this trans movement. That's what they want for your children. But again, all of this is against the family because the nuclear family is considered toxic. The nuclear family is considered bad. The nuclear family. I want to give you an example of what Kevin Samuels was talking about with the single mother thing.
I have children of
Going offense and push that message that is going to go absolutely nowhere. Why? Because men are finally awake. They're not going to do what you did. Why? Because their eyes have been opened.
I've been a stepfather. It's a horrible deal.
What about women that have children of their own? They want a stepmother.
Well, again, you're still
I think
acting.
like most men at this age.
Okay, listen. I'll answer. See, you're still speaking as if you have leverage in this thing. I'm trying to level set you. Even if I have children, I got more options than you. I can go find a woman with no kids because I can afford both of you. If I can afford to take care of you and your kids, I can afford to take care of her and no kids.
Yeah.
Why would I pick you and your kids when I know your kids are not going to? I'm not their father. They'll never look at me as their father. I got all the responsibility and none of the upside of being a biological father. Can I discipline those children like they were my own?
They don't need discipline. They're
see, that's your problem. There you go, right there. She said they don't
really
need discipline.
Don't.
Okay, this is why. You are in freaking sane if you don't think children, your kids are not special.
You have no power, guys.
So, did Kevin Samuels lie to her? Is what he said wrong? Is what he said wrong to this woman? Is it wrong for a man to expect the privileges of being the biological father if he's doing all the biological father things? Is it unreasonable? Somebody said the woman has to be worth it as possible. Yes, and that's why I said earlier, the reason why men are turned off by women with children is because it's not the children. Again, in our community specifically, we do it the most. We do it the most at almost like 40%. We do it the most out of any other demographic in the world. So clearly, our group don't have a problem being a stepfather, so to speak. The reason why men don't want to do it is because of what this woman said right here. These are my children. Now, not when you get married. What's mine is mine, and what's yours is yours. That's a marriage. So all this is mine. This is my money. This is my no. That's not how that works. Don't get married then. Don't get married. I'm asking what the man said that was wrong, and can't nobody tell me, because you know good and well he was telling the truth. You know he's telling the truth. So I want to shatter the notion that it's just because women have children. That's not the reason, because statistics don't back that up. The actual facts don't back that up. It just don't. Boyce Watkins himself married a woman that had 3 children. And he also has a child that he don't never mention. A son that's grown now. Where was all this fatherhood and man stuff when he was raising his child? Where was all his speeches about what men were doing when his child was with a single mother? Oh, well, yeah, I thought so. You're supposed to want your money. They ain't gonna tell you the truth. They ain't gonna tell you the truth. Where's my video? I had a good one. I had a good one about these fresh and fit guys. I had a good one. So fresh and fit. Somebody sent me a clip. Oh, it's not in my history, conveniently. Hold on one second, man. Hold on one second. Hold on. I gotta have this clip because this clip is very telling. Let me. Oh shoot. Here I come. Sorry about that, y'all. Sorry about that. But so on the Fresh and Fit podcast, and it's not in my history. This is just crazy, man. Y'all know I prepare for this stuff a lot, and it's just crazy when I just can't find certain stuff, and certain stuff's been deleted. But on the Fresh and Fit podcast, the guy, he was asked how he picks women, like how does he get women, and the devil's always in the detail. And what he basically said was, somebody said that single baby mama is an easy layup. I would just like for women to talk to men about their issues with single mothers. And I really would like a healthy dialogue, because I think women would be very surprised at what men are actually looking at. And I guarantee it's not the children. It's just the mindset of the woman. But I hope it's on here. I'm just looking, y'all, real quick. Oh, I found it. It might be on this one. It might be on this one. I found it, y'all. Hold on. I found it. Hold on. Just bear with me. Won't he do it? Won't he do it? Oh, here we go, y'all. I got it. Yeah. I got it, y'all. Somebody was praying.
It's not like the gazelle understands what the lion has to do to be able.
Now, I want y'all to listen.
Say something real quick, because what you were saying, you're saying like guys need money to get girls. I would argue not that men need money to get girls; they need money to play the game with certain types of girls. There's some girls that if you don't have a certain net worth, you don't have a certain amount of money, you don't have a certain status, they're not going to fuck with you. Facts. But that doesn't necessarily mean you have to trick off on them to get girls. Now, that said, there's a lot of guys that have money that do trick off on girls, which I think is the worst thing to do. Because we spend money for a girl's attention or time or whatever, she ain't gonna respect you.
Let me ask you one question.
Oh shit.
How do you get your girlfriend? Like, how do you get girls in your world?
Me?
Yeah.
Or men in general, how do they do it?
Not you.
Oh, me personally?
Yeah.
Okay.
You look all nervous.
No. I'll tell you. But I don't think women understand how difficult it is for men to get women. So you have to do everything. You got to be on dating apps. You got to talk to girls in person. You got to be out there. You got to be. It's sales. Dealing with women is sales. As a guy, you're the salesman, and you got to have a lot of leads. So yeah, I know a lot of you guys look at this like it's crazy, but the reality is for men, you have to cast a wide net and then get what you can get. Because with you guys, you're in a privileged position where the man comes to you, but the man has to go out there and hunt, right? So, and a lot of them don't understand this privilege, because when you're in a privileged position, a privilege is visible to those that have it, right? So when the guys come up to you, you don't necessarily.
So the young lady asked him a simple question. She said, how do you get women? And he couldn't answer the question. He didn't want to answer. You know why? Because he doesn't get women. He doesn't get women. Meaning, when I say get women, meaning he can't articulate to you how he would meet a woman out somewhere and actually get her phone number and go out on a date with her. He couldn't walk you through that process. He can't walk you through it because he doesn't do it. I'm gonna let you play. I'm gonna play it again, because she put him on the spot. And this small snippet, the devil's in the details. This small minute sums up the entire Fresh and Fit podcast. And that they're telling you something they can't actually implement. Because being able to get women, being able to close the deal, has everything to do with the character of the man and not the strategy in doing it. Every person is different. So your strategy might work for you, but it's not for me. But they're pitching this stuff like it's just a one size fits all, and it just isn't. There will be some women that like a man because he's funny. Someone like him because he got money. Someone like him because he looked good. Someone like him because it's so many different reasons to what gives you that initial buy-in with the woman. We're gonna listen again though.
Facts. But that doesn't necessarily mean you have to trick off on them to get girls now. That's it. There's a lot of guys that have money that do trick off on girls, which I think is the worst thing you do. Because when you spend money for a girl's attention or time or whatever, she ain't gonna respect you.
Let me ask you one question.
Oh shit.
How do you get your girlfriends? Like, how do you get girls in your world?
Me?
Yeah.
He says
Or men
hi.
in general, how do they do it?
No, you.
Oh, me personally?
Yeah.
Okay.
You look all nervous.
No. I'll tell y'all, but I don't think women understand how difficult it is for men to get women. So you have to do everything. You got to be on dating apps. You got to talk to girls in person. You got to be out there. You got to be. It's sales. Dealing with women is sales. As a guy, you're the salesman, and you got to have a lot of leads. See, and I know a lot of you guys look at this like it's crazy, but the reality is for men, you have to cast a wide net and then see get what you can get. Because with you guys, you're in a privileged position where.
Okay, YouTube. I'm gonna close out and come back. I'm almost done.